my plan strategically. I can get it right. I'm gonna go where the winners go. 'Cause Ellen ain't an option, no. It ain't in my blood.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. This is the place where we look at relationships to provide a better understanding for both men and women so that we can learn and grow together. We want to say thank you to our regular viewers and welcome to our new viewers. We would like to ask that you like, just like that, share, subscribe, and give us a super chat. We get really happy when we get super chats, as that one gesture means much to Mondays Beyond the Mic and Bravo with Sheila Network. And we need those likes. I'm going to keep saying it. We will say it throughout the show because those likes help push this show further into these YouTube streets. And we know that you want to help us. Right, Lady Dawn B? We know that. We know that. And we have a disclaimer. This show is for educational purposes, and we share from our personal experiences. Although we have experts and professionals to come on, just know that the show is for educational purposes. And we have rules. Everything needs rules. And what are the rules? Respect, respect, and again, respect. I would like to state that if disrespect is displayed in the chat or on the platform, individuals will be silenced and removed from the show. So, without any further to do, I'd like to welcome my co host, Lady Dawn B. We need like,
Hey, fam. Mondays Beyond the Mic crew and Bravo Nation. What's happening? How are you? How are you doing, Dr. E?
I am doing well. I'm still on one more day closer to retirement. So, um, yeah, you want Friday, I want retirement.
Well, one day there'll be a final Friday. Then I'll be where you're at.
So, we are in the month of October.
Yes.
So, we are in the fourth quarter of this year. I feel like this year has gone by really quickly. I mean, a lot has happened.
Mm-hmm.
From the political spectrum to our personal lives to just a whole lot happening. But we want to welcome the month of October, and we want to in this month we want to highlight a few things that are happening in October. Many awarenesses like breast cancer awareness, National Disability Employment awareness, domestic violence, and mental health awareness. So we want to make sure that we talk about relationships and saying, how can we grow together to have healthy relationships and healthy conflict? But we need to be aware of our mental health, our physical health, right? And our financial health. So we spent a lot of time focusing on our financial health. And I'm still making appointments with the guests to make sure that I'm doing okay. And I would suggest you do the same. But we just want to welcome our guests in and see who's talking to us in the chat.
Well, all right. Now, of course, as we know, we have who? The greatest moderator to ever do it in these YouTube streets, and she belongs to us, Elaine Kenya.
Hey, Elaine. Thank you. She said, hey, Dr. Elaine. Hey, Lady Dawn B.
Hi, beautiful.
We appreciate you.
We also have
Reginald Brown. He says, beautiful ladies, aloha, and I hope you're having a blessed day. Aloha to the family as well. So aloha. We are going to make it to Hawaii one day, just not 2 days.
It's coming though.
Shaniqua Dupree, she says, good evening to all. Good evening and welcome. Patrick Riley says, hey, family.
Hey, Bishop.
And the good Dr. Reverend Janelle Tinsley, she says, good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Hey, sis.
And Jessica T. Lock said, happy Monday, Queens. Happy to finally get to catch this session. So thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I say, now, what do you think? If they missed last week, do you not think they need to go back? If you want to laugh, if you want to learn, I
Mhm.
promise you, last
Oh,
week will do it.
yeah. We got somebody else just came in.
Hey, Crystal. Hey, sis. She says, this is going to be a good topic. All right. And what's that topic she is talking about? Because tonight's topic is, drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da. Mind your business.
That part.
So, what we're going to do tonight, we're unpacking what it really means to stop worrying about other people's pace, opinions, and problems, and start doing the deep work that transforms you, me, ourselves. So think about this. We've probably heard someone say, mind your business as a clapback, right? How many times somebody would say, we're going to take it back. We are New Yorkers. Dawn is from the BX. I'm from Harlem. So when somebody said, mind your business, those could have been fighting words. Am I right?
Forever, always. Say what now?
Right. It's like, who you think you're talking to? That's where that starts out. You go from mind your business to, garlic under the nails, but that's where we're.
Mm-mm.
So with that being said, but today we're reclaiming it as a mindset. What if minding your business was the key to your peace and purpose? Hmm.
They already chatting in the chat too.
Well, let's see what they're talking about. Shaniqua says, come on now. And Jessica said, oh, I need this. Reverend Janelle says, comparison kills. Worry about yourself. I love it. So let's think about when you hear the phrase mind your business, what comes to mind now versus how we used to view it? So when you think of mind your business now versus back in the day, what comes to mind? Let us know in the chat. And Lady Dawn, while they're typing, tell me what, because I see you got all kind of head movement.
I'm rocking it. um, I feel like okay. So the back in the day has kind of met with present day. So it's still kind of one and the same. So for me, in all transparency, because y'all know I'm what reformed and I'm finding other spaces where I'm still reforming. When I hear that term or the statement, mind your business, and I don't hear it often, but when I do, it really depends on who's saying it, who is, because that makes a world of difference.
Okay.
But when I hear it now, I'm like, okay, I learned to breathe
Okay.
and assess that. Okay, you know what? You're right. I'm a mind the business that pays me.
I would say when I think about it, to your point, back in the day, if somebody said mind your business, you was kind of like, who are you talking to? Right. I think now when I hear mind your business, I honestly think more of stay in your lane, do your work. And to your point, mind the business that pays you. But what I have found is that a lot of times, as we're adulting, people will say things or just do things that you're like, why do you know so much about this person? Like, mind your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they like to say, I'm inquisitive, and you're like, no, you're just nosy. Because
That
if you
part.
took all of that energy and put it on yourself, we may be in a different space and place. So let's see what they're saying in the chat.
Oh, because they chatting. They chatting.
Hey, Dr. Shana. If you, like I said, go back last week, Dr. Shana was on. He said, the let them theory is a powerful reminder that minding your business is the key to peace. a great read. Thank you, Dr. Shana. She said, let me put the literature in here so to help you. We appreciate it. And Shaniqua says, pay attention to yourself and your purpose. Absolutely. And she also said, I used to say I am when it was said to me. Right. When somebody said, mind your business, I am. It is my business. Absolutely. And Janelle, she says, for me, now mind your business can mean safety. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So, Lady Dawn B, what questions are we going to throw out today?
Well, first question we'll ask for tonight is, how do you know? Since we're talking about, because like I said, for me, it depends on who it is that says it. You know, who is this that is telling me to mind my business and why? Um, yeah. So the first question is, how do you know? And to your point, as you just stated, how do you know when you've crossed from caring into comparing?
Wow, that's a great question. I think a lot of times, especially depending upon where you grew up and how you grew up, that comparison. So maybe you had siblings and maybe a person was being compared to the sibling, or you looking over at the neighbors and saying, oh, they have, so I wanted the me too. Um,
Mhm.
but I think when you go, why do I want it? I think you need to ask yourself that question. Is it something that I want, or I just want it because that person has it too? Or I don't want to be left out. I mean, I know people who you go, well, you didn't even want that, but oh, they got it. It's like you see kids, you didn't want it until they started playing with it. Now you want it. So I think that that's something you have to guard. And even as an adult, because I say this often, we spend our adult lives trying to work out our childhood issues. So if you've always had an issue with, I say, envy or jealousy, then you are more comparing yourself to want to be like that person, opposed to you can mask it into caring so that you can get close and get information, but you're not really caring. You're comparing. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we know when we cross from caring to comparing. For me, it's motive. It's all in why you're asking these questions. Why are you so invested into what's going on in someone else's life? Are you looking for the results based on what you want or don't want? Or are you really putting the person's best interest up front? Um, are you being overly protective? Because sometimes we stifle people because we want to keep them in a box, because we're afraid that if they shine, it takes away from our shine. So for me, it's really again like motive. When what you're doing is more about you than the other person, that's when you've gone over the line from caring. Because I want you to have what you want. I always say, if you love it, I like it for you. I don't have to agree with it. Who am I? Um, but when we get to the point where it's what I want for you above what you want for you, then we start comparing.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. Let's
and
take it. They're talking in the chat. So
okay, and we have a guest in the building too.
So
Okay.
Crystal says, mind the business that pays you. Dust your house. Why don't you have life insurance, etc.?
You know what, Crystal? You right. She gave all of the things. All of the things.
Okay, Dr. Shana said, let them and let me, unless it's life threatening, peace comes from letting things be. Okay.
That's good. And we have a guest in the building
Who
who
is our guest?
our guest is none other than William Michael Barbie himself.
All right.
So maybe welcome in, sir.
All right, good evening, and I apologize for not being on camera. I am in transit. I really did not know what tonight's program was about. But as my dear friend Dr. E does, she throws you into the fire and expect you not to get burned. So I'm gonna try not to get burned on this case. I heard your question, and when I think about it, the first thing comes to mind. There's a poem I love called Desiderata, and it opens, it says, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence as oft as possible. Without surrender, be on good terms with all persons." But it continues and it says, "Never compare yourself to others. You'll become vain and bitter." And every time I think about that, I've always lived by that particular poem. And I align that with my spirituality and religion with the Bible. And so when we do the concern for someone's well-being, if it's from a genuine place of us offering concern, we're not thinking about the comparison part. So it goes back to the individual who is claiming to be concerned. Because when you start comparing, it's because you're feeling insecure or not enough, and you feel the need to compare something that's different than what you have, or more or less. And so those individual things, to me, between the two, deals with the individual who's offering it or alleging to offer concern, when it may be just a thing of comparing what someone has that they don't have. So that's how I initially saw that. So I don't know if I'm in line, but I'm always different. I like being different.
We all need a
Well, you
little.
are differently in line. How about that?
Hey, I'll take that. And look at Crystal Little in here. I saw Crystal up there running off at the mouth.
Well, we got
Lady
a few
Dawn,
of
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I miss you. I miss you and Dr. E. Crystal's too afraid to come out to our co-ed Man Village session,
Oh, it's such
um,
a safe
where
space.
where the conversation on compare and compassion or concern can be a part of the greater narrative offered by men and women.
Yes, you have
Okay.
Crystal. Now we got to get on you, Crystal. It's an experience like none other.
She'll
Beautiful.
be at the next one. We'll bring it to the next
She
one.
ain't coming nowhere.
Oh, okay, let's get to the chat.
All right, because we got some more comments, but I just want to say I do love the alleged how William Michael put that alleged carry. I had to write that down. I'm like, okay, that's good.
It's
Um,
the truth.
It is.
Dr. Shana says, "This is such a great topic, ladies. At its core, the message is simple yet powerful. Mind your business. Protecting your peace is the foundation for growth." Absolutely. And Shaniqua says, "I was never like that, thank God. I always wanted something different, like no one had but me." And then Dr. Shana said, "Wow, what shade, William Michael?"
That's right.
And he agrees.
Stick to your truth. That's it. Well, um, that's good. That's good. I hope we all picked up some nuggets on that one. That's good information and sharing. Um, okay.
Wait, we got to get Crystal's comment.
Uh-huh.
Crystal said, "No comment to you, William Michael Barbie."
Lord. Okay. All right. Oh, wait, one more before we move to question 2.
And Jessica says, I think the struggle in this space of learning is, I'm sorry, to mind your own business." So, okay.
Okay.
I think I
She thinks she
struggle in the
struggles in
space.
this space.
Okay. Okay. And then you got to think, is it from a caring too much, or is it caring or comparing? I think that's where that kind of lies in there, and knowing the difference.
Can you really care too much?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you can.
Yes.
Or
I,
is it that if you impose through whatever your idiosyncrasies are, impose those upon someone, it becomes too much? But can you really care or like love too much?
I mean, that's a great question, but I think when I think immediately, I think about my children, and I could think, yeah, I could care too much.
I think it becomes also a space of control. We can become very controlling um, with our care.
But
Mm.
that's if you impose it on someone. But if you care from your heart and it's in your heart, does that become imposing upon someone or intrusive upon someone's personal space?
It could be
Yeah.
depending on the person.
Okay. And if they're willing to receive it, like how much do you need right now? I think it makes me think of when we're trying to, put 2 liters of liquid in a 1 ounce bottle. If that person doesn't have the capacity to manage that much at that time, some people you have to spoon feed caring. So
Oh, I think we're looking at it from two different lenses. I'm looking at it solely from a lens of me caring doesn't mean I have to express it. It could be shown in other ways. And doesn't, it's not me imposing upon them how I feel all the time or my overwhelming concern. It's just how I may feel about someone. I may care a great deal about them. But
okay,
that
and
doesn't, I'm not speaking from the relational part where they're reciprocating or receiving the pressure
Okay.
that I'm imposing upon them because I can't keep my manage my expressions or emotions.
Okay.
I think in that vein, then no. I mean, you can't care too much. Well, maybe internally you can care too much when it's, how do I want to put it?
When you're not imposing.
When you're not imposing, but sometimes it can even become too much for ourselves.
Mm.
Sometimes you care about other people more than you care about yourself, and you can really kind of drive yourself crazy caring so much. Even if you don't express it internally, just your feelings, you become overwhelmed with your feelings. You can. I don't know if it's fair to say it's too much because it's just how you feel.
Right,
So
right. So that's why I made the point when Dr. E said too much. It was to bring out a little broader dialogue to say that what you just said, Lady Dawn. I just like to expand dialogue. So we say, "Oh, you care too much." Can you really? So it just pushes it a little further.
Okay. So Anae said, can you please gently hit the like button? We need you to do that when you have a moment, please and thank you. If you like what you're hearing, just tap that button for us. And
Y'all better
Jessica
double check
said,
and see if she hit it.
Jess- Jessica said, yes, you can care too much. So, all right. Let's go to the next. Okay. Janelle says, I believe it is possible to care too much. All right. And Jessica said that part.
all right. Well, of course, this was good. That was good dialogue. Question number 2 is, how can setting boundaries actually protect your peace and your purpose?
Oh, wow. I think that's a great question. Um, hmm. I think when you set boundaries, you kind of say, this is as far as I'm going to go. I can give you, if let's say you ask, I can give you my advice, or if I see you going in a direction that I may think is like, that's not the best, I can leave it and then I'm done, because everyone has to go their own road. I can pray for you, I can, support you, but I need to set boundaries for myself and focus on what I need to do for me. Because I think, to your earlier point, you said something. Sometimes we will lack what we need to do in taking care of ourselves, whether that's mentally, physically, trying to do things for others and not setting a boundary. What are your thoughts?
I agree. When I think about this and setting boundaries, it and how it actually protects your peace and your purpose, it because it allows you to focus on your stuff. Like, not we like you just said, we do tend to give. Some people do tend to give more of ourselves to other people, and then you don't have enough of you to even fulfill your wants or your needs or your dreams or whatever it is. So you do have to learn how to cap your giving, in a sense, cap your how much of you're pouring out, and it doesn't mean that that is always and it's going to be like that forever, but you have to learn how. I know I had to learn how. I know I am a great supporter of people. Like I try to support everybody, all my friends. Okay, you're doing this, and then I found myself running in a cycle of supporting everyone else, and my own stuff was not getting done, and then I was like, well, I'm supporting everybody else, and I ain't gonna nobody come to support me. And then me had to say, because ma'am, you haven't put your stuff out because you busy supporting everybody else. How could you possibly get support and you didn't do it yet? So I had to start setting some boundaries and not showing up for everyone as much or as being as present as I was, so that I could handle what I needed to do for me, because sometimes we can give too much of ourselves again, and we don't have enough to fulfill our own purposes sometimes.
Okay.
Lady Dawn, when you just said that you poured to others and you sat back before, wonder, no one's pouring into me. Is that a level of um, you comparing what someone is doing versus what you're doing for them?
No, it wasn't a level of compare. I get where you're coming from. It wasn't from that angle. It was more of it was a wake up call for me, in a sense, because I can't expect my people will show up for me, when I ask, or if they see me doing something. But it was, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, so no one can come support you. The comparison, if anything, was supporting them and seeing them launch, and I'm not comparing what we're doing. I was looking at the fact that they're doing and you're still sitting here not doing yet. So you need to
Right.
get
Now
to
I'm supporting you. I'm supporting you, but I'm saying sometimes it takes that experience for us to wake up, to
yeah.
realize why we need to focus more on self. And that goes to the other point that Dr. E was making, when caring becomes too much and you go overboard and you pour less into yourself and into others. But sometimes it's that wake up call when you do have those feelings. So I don't always think it's a bad thing when you have to say, hey, no one's like giving to me.
Hmm.
It's a bad thing if we're stuck there. But to make the observation,
Yeah.
sometimes it takes us, because we're all going through transitions in life, and part of our transitional process is change. Is hard, is shortcomings, it's lonely, but it's also rewarding and some of these other wonderful things as well. So I don't look at it so much as a negative, and I agree with what both of you have said as it pertains to this. But when you talk about boundaries, I also have to look at it from another lens to say, how do I maintain my boundaries, not just set
Hmm.
them, because we all set goals, but we don't keep the goals or we don't reach the goals. And with that, I'm always encouraging people to set short-term obtainable goals that helps to support the boundaries that you set, because what we tend to do is fall short because those boundaries are forever violated. Why? Because we still dealing with our own stuff that we bring, our insecurities, our low self-esteem, all these things we bring to the to the table, and we're expecting change to occur, but we haven't set or prioritized our needs or identified that we have needs that go beyond whatever it is. Why is there a hole inside of our protected barrier? Is because we haven't sustained and maintain those boundaries that we set. So setting short-term attainable goals is a key way of maintaining boundaries. So that's mindfulness activities, self-awareness, self-care, really going over this Dr. E's specialty, emotional intelligence, and really building into that for the individual, so that those things, when we do set these short-term goals and we focus on our boundaries, we make it all inclusive to sustain them.
I'm glad you said that, because that's actually where I am now. Like it's my process. Like now with that wake up call, and it's like, okay, so now that I'm aware what my problem is, and I go back to minding my business right now, how do I move forward here? Because now it's me and my business over here, and I got to figure it out. So I totally agree, and I received that, for myself.
Okay. I love it. And I think he was also talking about smart goals. Like, how do we set some smart goals for ourselves? Um, and making sure that we stay with them. So definitely love that. Dr. Shana says peace and growth comes when you stop managing others and focus on aligning ourselves. Absolutely. And Jessica said, great point, Dr. Shana. And Reverend Janelle said, hard lesson, however, I am learning. Theo said, exactly, Lady Dawn. Theo said, no, it's truly her putting others before what she is supposed to be doing. So that's her confirmation.
She is, yeah, she okay, Theo, I'm doing it. She keeps me accountable. She runs a tight ship. She does.
And CG Wealth Solutions Group says, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Dr. Shannon said, amen. Think about the peace you could create if, as adults, you truly mind your own business and let others be while still guiding those who depend on us with care. Okay. Kathy said, good evening, everyone. Crystal said, my boundaries, love and respect for myself, my peaceful place, priceless. Yes to me, and the act of saying no. And I like that because a lot of people have a problem with telling people no. And no is a complete sentence that does not need an explanation. So a lot of times people will tell someone no and then explain themselves. People will I used to always be called like, Elaine, you're mean or whatever, because I would just say no. And then people were waiting for me to explain. And I'm like, I don't have to explain. It's no. And I'm okay with that. And even if someone tells me no, I'm like, oh, okay. That's your choice. That's your prerogative to say no. Dr. Shana said, amen, Crystal, with a whole lot of exclamation points. And Gail, hey, one of the Lockley sisters, she said, hi, panel. Thank you for joining us. So, okay. All right. So let's go here. What is the hardest part about facing your own reflection without distractions? So when we're minding our business, right, that's what we should be doing. What is the hardest part about facing your own reflection without distractions? Lady or William Michael Barbie?
Well, I think one part to that, I'll just use an analogy of knowing that, and this hypothetically, I have a heart condition and I need to lose weight and I have all these other pressing things, diabetes and all the borderline, blah, blah, blah. And there's ice cream in the refrigerator. And knowing that the ice cream does nothing but make my health worse, I need to get rid of the ice cream and start working on those things that will help to build or to put me in a better. I'm sorry, there's an accident in front of me. Let me get back to you guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Be safe. All right.
Well, I would say the hardest part literally is just that, is facing it. The hardest part of facing it is facing it. The
Mm.
most difficult person to sit and tell truth to is yourself, because we have to look at the spaces where we have allowed. It's not an external thing, it's the inner. It's easier to blame all the outside things that cause the chaos and distractions and what other people are lending to our stress levels and all of that. But when there's no one in the room but you and you, there is no one to blame. There is no excuse that we can come up with. It's when we really have to come face to face with self and start to see all the things that we've let ourselves down with. Well, I
Mm.
should have done this better, or I could have done this better, or I should have been here. And it's accepting that. It's owning it, And I wouldn't even say giving yourself grace in it. Nope, own it, take the L. You know, just gonna have to swallow the hard pill sometimes. But I think that it is really just that process of literally facing yourself.
Okay. I mean, I would think about this, and the song that comes to me is Michael Jackson. I'm starting with The Man in the Mirror, right? And the hardest part is when you see what you don't like, and realizing it is you. And to your point, it's not everyone else, because we're quick, as you say, to point out the other people. But when we really have to take a hard look at ourselves and say, you know what, this is what is stopping you from this, because it's you. I believe that we all have the same 24 hours. We all
Mhm.
have the same, so there's certain things that's just even. And even if we talk about, well, oh, you had more options, there's always a way. We find a way to do the things that we want to do. So when we're focusing on ourselves without distractions, it gets ugly. And we have to be willing to get ugly before we get cute, so that we can
Come on, preacher.
set. So I think that's the biggest piece, when you sit by yourself and you ask. And then having, I think, once you go through that process, asking people who you trust to give you some honest feedback. I ask people, tell me, what do you think I could do better? You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Don't
Yeah,
lie to me. I'd rather you tell me so I can fix it, because sometimes, even within ourselves, we have a blind spot, right? It's like when you're driving and it says objects may seem closer, and it's a blind spot because you don't see it, and you've been doing it for so long, and no one said anything to you, and you didn't realize it could be offensive, or you realize, or just the opposite, you realize it is offensive, but no one says anything to you, so you keep doing it.
yeah. Because people are always going to see it. We're never going to see it the way outside people see it. We don't have the ability to see it from that perspective. We can only see it through the tunnel vision of our lens. So I like what you said right there. About asking people that you can trust, who will be honest about it. That's good. We have a
So
comment here.
Theo says we have to learn how to be comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. I say that all the time, Theo. Learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and looking at yourself. It can be uncomfortable when your stuff is the one that stinks. And you're like, my attitude stinks. The way that I'm doing this stinks. I'm not prioritizing myself, or I'm being whatever it is. You have to just be honest with yourself. And then I would also say, in that moment, is writing it down, a letter to myself. What are the things I need you to change? What are the things I would like to see from you? What are the hurts you didn't tell anybody? What are the insecurities you didn't tell anybody? Lay it all out, because now when it's written, now you got an opportunity to say, okay, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this.
All
So
right, write it out and do something with it. Because I am at a place where I'm telling myself, that y'all know I've shared this before. Like, I don't understand what no means. I don't get it. Um, I don't accept no. No is like, oh, so what you mean is you can't. Not that it can't be done. It's just that you can. Okay, or you're not going to. Okay, but for me now. So I have learned that I'm the only thing in my way. I'm the only thing in my way. So until I'm willing to get into that room with myself, and like you said, if you smelling something in here and ain't nobody in here but you cannot blame anybody. It's me. It's not everybody else. It's you. And you gotta be, like you said, you have to be honest with yourself and write it down and do
all
something.
right. So Gail said, absolutely, sis. Tell me what's on your mind and the truth. And I think that's it too. We need people that's going to be our truth tellers.
Mhm.
Not people who going to lie to you and make you feel good. All right. Kathy said that song "Man in the Mirror" convicted me years ago while driving, and I had to pull over because I was boohooing like a baby. I had to deal with me then, right? And so that's even telling us, you could listen to a song and you thinking you singing along to you, but like, wait, hold on. you know, and it convicts you
Like,
for
oh,
change.
it's me.
Right. What you saying? So Ernest Hale says, hello, ladies, at Lady Dawn B and Dr. E. Hello, and
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for joining. Please make
So
sure you hit
glad you
that
asked
like
me.
button. Um,
Lord, here we go.
Patrick
Ladies,
said, laugh out loud. She don't know what no means. Okay.
you, sir, okay, mind yourself.
Mind your manners.
I know what it means
She just doesn't accept it.
outside of myself. I don't know what it. I know what it means for other people. I don't know what it. Anyway, because I'm not fooling with.
So Crystal says, sitting in your own stuff is a cleansing process. Own it to level up. Yeah. If I want to be better, I got to accept who I am. Theo says it's moving past saying do the work to defining what doing the work means and being intentional about doing the work and checking in. Kathy said absolutely.
See, here we.
And they know Lady Dawn B. They said she doesn't accept it. Well, make sure you're hitting that like button.
I'm
All
not
right.
totally reformed there yet. I'm not totally reformed there.
That's okay. So now let's look at this. How has avoiding self work shown up in your relationships, in your career, or in your confidence? Because if you haven't done the work, it shows up. You could think, well, you know, I'm good. I'm this way. Because everybody. I mean, I'm divorced. You're divorced. I rarely met someone who has been divorced who says it was my fault. It is always the other person's.
Well, I can honestly say it wasn't my fault. It wasn't.
But I'm just saying, I've met plenty of people
Mine is a
who
true story.
are divorced. And I'm saying, I mean, it can be true, right? It can be.
You're right.
My point is, when you meet people, no one ever says, you know what, or is it a very slim minority that says I am the reason. Usually it's like no, she or he or they or them. It's never me. So you think, like, how does that show up in relationships? I mean, I can say one of the things I would talk about um for me in relationships is I was I'm like real big on communication and clarity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I will ask you, tell me what that means. I heard what you
Yeah,
said, but I don't know what that means because I could hear you, but my definition and your definition may look
it's
different.
totally different. Right.
So tell me, I need to hear from you. What do you think that means? So that I make sure that I'm on the same page. But avoiding that work, because sometimes people, and I'm going to just use this, sometimes people want to be in a relationship, right? I want the relationship, but I don't want to do the work on me. So I'll pretend like everything is okay instead of maybe the work I needed to do is speaking up for myself. Let's just use that as an example. If I just want the relationship, I'll never speak up for myself and I'll find myself in that miserable cycle, opposed to saying, even if I don't get this relationship, right? Because that's to me doing the work, I'm going to speak my truth so that I don't find myself back into that same predicament. Or even at work, you want to be the person that you need to go home or you have other responsibilities, but you want to show up like, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then you're mad when somebody else got promoted. And you're like, well, nobody told you to do all that extra stuff. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying be a team player. What I'm saying is when you're going beyond because you need to people please.
Yeah. No, you just told my story because I was actually that's what I was gonna say. I think in reflecting, um, and we had like two comments in the chat, but I would say, and the reason why I brought it because what Michael McDonald was saying, he said I took some responsibility.
You want to
Um,
bring it up? Okay.
yeah, he said I take some responsibility for my divorce. Now, with what he's saying and with what you said, I had to sit back and think about it because I was like, I didn't do anything wrong, and to cause the divorces, the divorce that I had, the experiences that I've gone through. I'm like, I showed up. I did, I was a good wife. I was a good person. I was a good friend. I was good, I did all the things that we agreed to. But you made an excellent point about not speaking up. And so with that, I'm at fault because by me not speaking up, I'm not showing the true representation of myself. I'm not really giving you exactly how I think and feel. And for me, it was more of, I'm concerned about, believe it or not, some of y'all may not, but I am concerned about hurting people's feelings. I say what I mean what I say. 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, I will not apologize for what I said because I meant it, but I will apologize for how I said it because my intention with whatever I say or do is not to hurt a person's feelings. So with that, I would bite my tongue a lot. No, it's okay. No, it's all right. And like you said, that not realizing that that is a form of people pleasing because you're not even giving a person a chance to show up for you. So I realized I did myself a disservice by not doing that self work of speaking up in those spaces, which is very much unlike me. In relationships, even with friends, sometimes, they'll tell me like, don't say, like, why would you say that? Or don't say that. Or what? And I'm like, but if it's true, why should we say it? I'm just saying the stuff that everybody's thinking, you know.
We are definitely twins. Yes.
It's like, so we're gonna sit here, so we all just gonna pretend. We just all gonna pretend that this is,
as they say, the elephant is in the room, and you're like, "Hello, can I just?"
right. You don't see it with the pink polka dots and the flame. Like, am I the only one? Okay. So, just like I said, with what you said, the reverse of that, not thinking that I did anything wrong, but now understanding that what I did wrong was not being truthful in my feelings and showing up and giving a person a chance to have that dialogue.
Okay.
So,
Janelle said, "Lady Dawn, you are not alone. No, just don't sit. No, just don't sit well with me. Laugh out loud, right? And that's okay."
What does that mean?
And Reginald says, "You're spot on, Dr. E." And she said, "We triplets."
Would be 3 the hard way.
Because I am going to say it right. And sometimes I can recall my mom would say things to me like, "Elaine, you didn't have to be so straightforward with it." And I'm like, well, why are we wasting time? Just say
right. That part. What are we doing then? Like, somebody has to give me some to draw a yellow line or send a signal when I'm in danger zone, when I got 3 seconds to I don't know. Tell me.
Okay. So, Lady Dawn, what are some other questions? I really like this because I think when we're talking about minding your business, it's really about how do I become the best version of me? Because now I have the time and the opportunity to focus on myself and not looking at other people. And I often think about the reason why you put blinders on a horse is because you put the blinders so that the horse is focused. And even if they look to the left or to the right, they can only still see. They can't see anything, so they have no choice but to focus and look straight ahead. And I think that's where the spirit of going back to comparison happens when you start saying, well, we started at the same time, or how come? And I've seen that happen at work. I've seen it happen in families. I've seen it happen where people are like, well, how did you go do? You're like, we had the same opportunities. I just focused on mine and you chose otherwise, or vice versa. And still saying, I'll never forget, I heard a message years ago and someone preached this and it says, you're not too old and it's not too late. So if it's something you want to do and it's still attainable, my thing is, as long as you're still breathing, you have the opportunity to complete that thing, whatever it is, you know? I often say I went back to school 16 years later after my undergrad because I was like, this is what I want to do. And people will say, oh, well, it's too late. No, you still breathing. The only time it's too late when they say ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Other than that, you still have an opportunity. I'm just saying, I digress. Okay.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, I think one important question um, that we should ask also is, how do you hold yourself accountable to grow, not just react or complain?
Mm, I think that's a great question. I really think that we need to sit with it. And I think Crystal said that earlier. If I'm going to hold myself accountable, I got to say, wait a minute, before I go do the knee jerk reaction, let me figure out what part did I play. Now, sometimes you might find just your presence makes people uncomfortable because I've had that happen. But that can't be everybody.
Right.
And then you got to say, well, is it my tone? Is it the way I come across? And I've also realized that when if I really want to grow, and this is me, I got to spend time in the quiet space and then really ask God, show me me. And when he starts to show you you, you got to be like, oh, okay. Now, and I think to what Theo said earlier, now once I'm shown, what am I going to do with this information? Because I know a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge, but they do absolutely nothing with it. They just know a whole lot.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. What are your thoughts?
I listen again. We are twins and triplets here. Um, for me, I hold myself accountable to grow by being realistic with myself. And again, reminding myself constantly that there is nothing holding you back but you. I am the only one that is in my way, because life is going to happen, chaos is going to happen. You know, this didn't stop you from doing that. So why is that now stopping you from doing this? You found a way to do it, you know, and just being realistic with myself and calling myself out on my own stuff. Like, it is really important. My conversation with God is similar to yours, but it's a little different. You know, I don't ask him to show me me. I come and I show him me because I already know. I try to make sure that I keep myself very self aware. And I've learned to sit in the things about me that I don't like, the things that I'm struggling with, the things that I want to improve on, do better on, and move forward in. And in those spaces, I give myself grace to develop a plan to do them. I don't have to, I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of girl. Like, I'm all the way in or all the way out. I don't do gray well either, very black and white. Then we can figure out gray. So I'm learning the importance of that gray area, because the gray is the process. So I'm
Mm.
learning to take my time and allow myself the experience of the process, because that's really where you gain the knowledge at. That's where and when I'm trying to rush myself, I'm like, slow down, sis. Like, just as Coach Pache would say, go have a conversation, say self, and self says, huh? And, and we hash it out. And most importantly, um, I breathe. People
Mm.
think that it's really, like we do, honestly, before the show.
Mhm.
Taking that moment to breathe and regroup myself so that I can make sense of what's happening instead of, like you said, reacting or complaining.
And I would also say, with that, I think that was very good. Is when you mess up, to your point, give yourself the grace and not just be like, oh, forget it. This is just how I am, or I'm always messing up. But being able to acknowledge I've messed up, but also being able to acknowledge to say, okay, I need to start again. And I think that's what happens. We think, well, I failed at this once, I'll never do it again. you
Yeah.
know Let's get some. We got some comments. They talk.
Lesson. It's not. It's it's a lesson. You fail the math test. What happens? You don't. You take it again.
Or you just fail the class and they make you. No, okay.
They make you do that again.
Tiff says, "Good evening, everybody." Lee said, "Hey, Lee." She says, "The work starts with you. It's important to focus on yourself." Absolutely. Janelle said, "Real growth is being able to check yourself." Right? What's that song? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, and that's what we need to do. All right.
Sorry, your Bronx coming out.
Theo says, "People tell me I'm direct all the time, so I guess we're quadruplets." Okay.
And is.
And Lee says, at Janelle, self-checking is a priority to growth. And I think that that's where we have to look at. Then we got one more. Kathy said. Kathy says, "I learn to examine myself daily and acknowledge where I may have gone wrong and deal with it." Right. Because it's one thing to be like, yeah, I did it. And then, okay, now what? Because you ever had somebody say, when we talked about at the top of the show, when somebody said, mind your business, and here's the flip side, you could be like, make me.
But we reform now, so we don't.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But when you think about it, instead of saying, I acknowledge and dealing with it, that make me is, I know I'm wrong and I'm still going to push forward. But now maturity and being reformed is being able to say, no, I'm not going to say make me. This person was right. And how do I work on being a better version of me? Yes, Kathy, I'm sorry. The Harlem came out. My apologies. She shows up every now and again.
Yeah. Still alive.
She lies dormant every now and then, but she shows up. So I just think that this was really helpful. And I hope everyone hit that like button and subscribe if you have. Okay, lady? Okay. All right. We'll make sure you're okay. We want to just make sure that we're moving in an area that we're maturing, that even as we come into this month of October, that we're looking at, this is the last quarter. What am I going to do better? What have I stopped on? What's the thing that I've given up on, opposed to I need to move forward? And my hope was, as we wrapped up this episode, that peace is your response, that we know peace is my responsibility, your responsibility, and growth is your business. So somebody said, my growth is my business. Growth is your business. And every time you choose to work on yourself, you give other people permission to do the same. So it's like, if a friend starts working out and you say, oh, I'm going to join you, you want to do the same thing because you see that this person is yielding positive results. So that's how I think, as we look at mind your business, from not the old way we looked at it, but looking at it from a new lens. Any final words, Lady Dawn B?
I would just say, as I said before, we are the only thing in your way. So get out of your own way by minding your own business.
And on that note, I'm just going to read Janelle's comment. Reverend Janelle, she says, I thank God for growth daily. And on that note, we're going to say good night. And remember to do what? What we want to tell them, Lady Dawn B? To do what? Okay, not that.
Mind your
business. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
All I do is try to construe this life of mine, and soon one day I'll be able to say